So looking at the only way we can come to know the laws that are operational when we abide in a state of Satchitananda or Satori, let's play with the mind a little and see what arises for us. There was a certain abbot of a certain monastery, and he was renowned for being so serene, unfazed, still and quiet. But one day his followers decided that they would test him. So when he was walking down the cloister carrying a full and very hot cup of tea, they hid behind one of the pillars, and as he passed they let off a very loud firecracker, which was like an explosion. But the abbot didn't spill a drop of his tea. He just walked quietly to the end of the cloister, placed his hot cup of tea on the table that was there, and then he fainted. And then there was a certain samurai lord, rich but a follower of Zen, and he built a temple, and he had a need to appoint an abbot of that temple. And as it so happened, a young monk in a far distant place was recommended to him as a suitable person to take over that role. But the samurai lord had never heard of this young monk before, and he thought that he was untried and untested, and maybe therefore not worthy to take over this illustrious role. So he decided to test him. So he invited him to his palatial residence, and when the young monk arrived there, the door was open, but there was no one there to greet him. But seeing the door was opened in somewhat welcoming fashion, he entered and passed down a long corridor. And just as he was about to pass through a doorway that was there, the samurai lord jumped out with a sword raised above his head and said, "Kai, I'm going to kill you!" The young monk, totally unfazed, made a remark to the samurai lord. So the first question out of these stories is, what did the young monk say to the samurai lord? And the third story is a story about a follower of the Sufis, and following the tenets of that great faith, if you can call it that, he gave alms. He was rich, so he gave freely to the poor and those in need. But one day he recognized that he still had plenty. He still kept something for himself and felt that this was not good enough. So he gave away everything, his wealth, his riches, his belongings. And then one day, as he was sitting in his empty house, wondering what the future would now hold for him, in his contemplation, suddenly, from the floor in front of him, a being arose. And this being said to him, "Because of your gift of giving all, I am able to reveal myself to you. I am your real self." "Take this stick and beat me, and I will turn to gold. Each time you do so, the same will occur." So indeed, the Sufi seeker beat the being, who immediately became a pile of gold in front of him. So the Sufi seeker was able to give even greater largesse. But one day he had a visitor. One of his friends called by, and just at that time the being arose out of the floor, and this was witnessed by the visitor. And when he was told what it was that occurred, being somewhat greedy, he went off and decided that obviously if you beat a dervish, it would turn into gold. So he arranged a feast, and he invited all of the dervishes that he knew. And when they all came round for the feast, he took a stick and beat them all roundly, expecting them to turn into gold. Well, the dervishes were very bloodied and very battered, of course, and the police or the officials at that time were called, and they hauled off the man to court. But as is the way with dervishes, their injuries did not last very well, because we know that dervishes, well, they have their way. But when the man was hauled up to court, of course the Sufi seeker was called to be a witness. And on the way to the courthouse, his real self spoke to him and told him what to say. After the trial, the friend who had beaten the dervishes was hauled off to the insane asylum. But the question that arises out of this story also is, what did the Sufi seeker say in the courthouse regarding this interaction between his friend and the dervishes? So there arises two questions relevant to our awareness of where we are at now, in that state where the three levels of life are united for the most part, bringing us to live in a state of satori, and bringing with it a growing awareness of the rules, the laws that are operational in this place. So the questions: what did the abbot to be, the monk, say to the samurai after he'd raised his sword and threatened death? And what did the Sufi say to the judge relative to the situation that arose? If we ponder on these questions in the place called Satori or Satchitananda, we have awareness of our new relationship with life. Or, more accurately, life's relationship with us. What is it that arises out of this place? First of all, we recognize that it's non-reactionary, not like before. But what is it that follows from this? What is it that comes into action from this place of non-reaction?
Awareness.
Awareness indeed. Acute, intense awareness, isn't it? Fully, not partially, fully, immediately. Wouldn't you agree? Immediately, there's total awareness, sharp, alert. What arises out of that? Yes, indeed. But look to the questions that have been asked and realize from your own experiences, because they inevitably give us the opportunity to come to mind what it is that we're experiencing. Thank you, thank you.